Why do governments grant tax incentives or concessions? The answer lies within the classic but-for requirement of economic incentives. Fiscal incentives are special exemptions, deductions, or credits that provide concessions or deferral of tax liability. For eons, the phrase tax break or concession was mainly attached to foreigners investing in our country. Every government since 1979 has offered both local and foreign investors concessions, and it has not been without its political rancor, debate, maligning, and move along by critics of the party in power. It is important to note that governments across the political divide have employed transparency, simplicity, stability, and certainty in the application of concessions and incentives over the years, which have been guided by the Fiscal Incentives Act of 1974. The typical fiscal incentives offered are tax holiday up to a maximum of 15 years, waiver of import duty and consumption tax on imported plant, machinery and equipment, raw and packaging materials, export allowance, tax relief on export earnings, carry forward of losses, and unrestricted repatriation of profits and capital. The 1974 Act was specifically intended to attract and assist manufacturing companies. In 2019, the government of Saint Lucia, through extensive consultation, recognized the need to revise the Fiscal Incentive Act, which was last revised in 2005. This revision was to provide greater inducements for local and micro investment across the economic landscape, such as in the areas of the creative industries, architecture, engineering, accounting, motion picture projection, sports and recreational, medical and dental, telecommunications, beauty and spa, medical laboratories, and online data processing services, to name a few. The Act was amended specifically to boost investment in varying sectors to further spur growth in the local economy and to cement that concessions should not just be offered to big businesses, but to all who qualify. Over the years, the government of Saint Lucia has fertilized many a developing business. For example, under Cabinet Conclusion number 364 of 2014, Nationwide Construction Limited benefited from a 50% waiver on import duties and tax on all equipment and a 100% waiver on import duty. The 2013 Cabinet approved 75% waiver on income tax and 100% waiver of import duty on equipment, machinery, and spare parts. This included bulldozers, dump trucks, rollers, and excavators for Dashville Construction Equipment Sales Caribbean Limited. Jean-Marie and Sons also benefited with a 100% waiver on customs duties when they were setting up their LPG cooking gas operation in Saint Lucia. It is noteworthy that this company was not manufacturing but rather repackaging LPG, yet was still granted a 100% concession. Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited, CIE, were also granted 100% waiver on all taxes and duties on millions of dollars worth of vehicles, concrete, pumps, bitumen, concrete mixers, diesel fuel, as well as all equipment and spare parts which were to be used in the construction of roads and bridges. All these investments and the concession which propelled their development no doubt redound to tangible benefits to the investors and Saint Lucia. Several local companies have applied for and gained fiscal incentives under the revised Act. Local companies such as Nationwide Mobile Concrete Suppliers Limited and Fresh Start Construction Company, who received similar concessions as those offered to the Reno Group of companies, These include excise tax exemption and waiver on import duties on equipment to be used specifically in civil works, which include the design, construction, and maintenance of roads, bridges, dams, and buildings. To qualify for fiscal incentives offered by the government of Saint Lucia, an enterprise must meet the following criteria. 1. The enterprise must be incorporated and registered in Saint Lucia. 2. It must contribute to the economic development of Saint Lucia. 3. The country's human and natural resources must be utilized. 4. The enterprise must train local personnel and upgrade its plant through technological transfer. 5. It must form linkages with other economic sectors and contribute to earning foreign exchange. The extent of the incentives granted varies with the level of capital outlay of the investment. The tendency to devour misinformation based solely on political bias is a pastime doomed to divide our people. Filtration of untruth, maligning, and downright lies is a skill which must now be intellectually employed with every soundbite from the nightly news, because it has become impossible to trust the messengers and the message. Every government wants the best for its people. Attracting and supporting local and foreign investors to create employment to drive economic activity is the mandate for which they serve, irrespective of race, creed, nationality, or political affiliation. Now more than ever, the peddlers of untruths are sowing discord and fear-mongering. Read between the lines.